knows that. And part of the subject I want to talk about is how to channel paranoia. How to channel paranoia. Paranoia is real. Okay, how to get good out of it, how to channel it, how to direct it, and selected paranoia. Selected paranoia is a process of looking at what's going on and making an attempt to select those things that are real out of this so-called paranoia. Because paranoia can stretch out. But in order to make good decisions, you have to use everything that's thrown at you as a benefit. And so the paranoia that's spreading around the world and in America today is a type of paranoia gone wild, where there's it's like conspiracy theories that they put out. They may have people like Alex Jones. In his early years, he might put out some very good information, but as time go on, he began to mix in their things that they want him to do. Like if they seeing how things are going, they will put somebody out there in charge of you. Not somebody, but many bodies. And coming from, we shouldn't say many directions, but several or almost all directions. Some are reasonable, some are unreasonable, some, when they get that cocktail and that mix rolling, they on the move. So later on, Alex Jones will say, well, those kids that were killed up there in the Northeast, that was all fake. You know, and the parents are faking about, okay, that's a lie. It's a lie. That really happened. But he don't talk about the real government policy, the policy of selecting individual young people with a psychological background from their records, you know, that might be prone to certain things. And then they select them to push them over the top and get them to do those things. But it would make too much sense to people if that was presented. Like the Navy Yard. The guy in the Navy Yard, at least they printed this in the press, that he kept saying, hey man, he told the FBI, it was in the newspaper, hey man, they talking to me, you know, somebody talking to me, and basically they were hinting to him, you know, do this type of thing, do that type of thing, like Waswasa. He told them that. Does anybody remember that he told the FBI? Now, suppose you went down and told the FBI, man, I got somebody talking to me, and I'm getting a message that I ought to blow up the White House, and kill Congressman so-and-so and blow up the Senate. What do you think they would do to you? They'd have you away, right away, right? Because you're just thinking about it and you done told them, so they got you on the need help list, need treatment list, all those lists. Okay? Now, why didn't they do that to him, to this guy, the Navy Yard man? Why? It's very simple. Because they know what they're doing, and they didn't want that to come out. So if you've been coming here, you have a sense of what's been going on. But so there's a mixture of things. There's reality. Reality is crazy enough as it is, that they just going on with what we talking about, climate change or climate summit. Shoot, they rolling right along like, hey, it ain't no big deal. But then they got people with them, especially at the top, that have what we call insane solutions. And we'll get to those in a minute. But selected paranoia is how to use it to study its effect. And today we're going to talk about pain, pain use, pain focus. And we're going to talk a little bit about our experience with pain and how to exploit it. Even how to embrace it. Embrace pain. Now, we're going off of what they believe, that the human being operates on two main principles, from Freud, of course, pain and pleasure, right? That the human being want to move toward pleasure and away from pain. The presence of young children in a house may be very pleasurable to somebody who's wanted children, who grew up in a big family, and that's very pleasurable, to them. They feel like I'm working towards something. When they go to work, they feel like I'm going to work for something. I'm going to work for my children, for their education, for their future, and it's pleasurable. Other people may never wanted kids, and they be mad at their husband for giving them children, although they not try to avoid the pleasure of what produces children. But they mad that if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be having all these kids. And then we got to feed them too. You know what I mean? And then they have problems, and their problems make us have problems. And how I'm going to enjoy life trying to solve their problems. On and on. So that picture of pleasure and pain becomes very strategic, because you can manage those two principles. You can tell a young person, if you join the Army and you join this, that, and the other, we're going to give you a great education. We're going to give you a great education, and that education is going to be very pleasurable since you don't have too many opportunities. And in the meantime, join on up, sign here, and we're going to send you to Iraq, and you might go over there. And when you come back, I was listening to a lady this morning talking about her husband was ready to commit suicide, and she told him, just give me 5 more minutes. Just 5 minutes to tell you how your life. He was looking at it according to what they were saying, like, I failed in everything. I failed with my family. You know what I mean? He's an Iraqi veteran or Afghani veteran. And he looked at it like this life insurance policy. If I'm not here, I would at least be able to give them something, because I'm conflicted. And the family knew it. I mean, they talked about this thing. And his wife caught him before he was able to pull the trigger, and she said, just give me 5 minutes. Now, she didn't call Sykes and everybody's headed to the house, but she really wants 5 minutes to talk to her husband about how important you are to us and how valuable you are to us. And the thing about it, all this pain in his life is produced by the system. They told him, if you do these 1 or 2 things, we're going to give you a lot of pleasure. A pleasure of education for your children, a pleasure of security. But now they didn't send him somewhere that's destroyed his whole focus on life, and he's ready to kill himself to give his family the little pleasure that his insurance policy, because he can't produce that. He don't have it in his. They've taken out of him every possibility of being a contribution for pleasure and optimism in life for his family. And his wife is saying, just give me 5 minutes. That's all I want. I want 5 minutes. And in that 5 minutes, they were saying at the end of the program, we've been living that 5 minutes for so many years now because she was successful and he didn't commit suicide. But how many other people, for the pleasure of getting an education because they're poor and don't have anything, right? That they'll put them in the most dangerous, threatening situation that people want security, like most policemen and government workers. The thing government workers want is stability and security. So they carry mail in the rain, snow, and sleet all the time for some security in old age. So maybe I could drive me a Cadillac when I get old, like all the other postmen, and you know what I mean. You could tell who. So they give up for that temporary stability. They give up rain, snow, sleet, whatever it is. By the way, that came from the old statement in Persia. The post people will go out, rain, snow, sleet, and all that. Actually, they the first one invented a postal system, not to divert. But paranoia, how to channel it, how to direct it. Directed paranoia. This is real. We're going to study. We're going to use life as a laboratory, or our life. Technically, what I'm talking about, a lot of this is my personal experience with a lot of this stuff, because this stuff is now critical. Not critical today, it's been critical, right? But when they started in on this little session here recently, I realized that we must be hitting the points very accurately, because Boss Man is upset. Boss Man is mad at me. And Boss Man is thinking, oh, let's see. He said, well, if they had me hanging upside down and torturing me, I would just say, oh, Boss Man, how y'all treating poor Musa? I don't know if y'all remember those. Oh, I was just playing and da-da-da-da-da. So they want to know how serious that is. They remember other statements like, man, I was running in the hills in Oakland and I never felt that much pain in my life, except for this pain right here. This pain this morning, this pain the other morning, and this has been going on over the last week, and Boss Man been paying attention because, for instance, do you remember the time I was walking down here and I had the cane, I couldn't hardly walk, and you could tell I was in pain. I went back home and did something, and I came back 45 minutes, an hour later, I was almost skipping. Okay, because I deal with physical fitness and all the health books and all that, I got stacks of them right now. So the theories and the realities, all I did was I had, when I went back, I put on those little ankle things, those little small elastic things go around the ankle, because my ankle was, then my knees and everything and a little bit of back was all sore, probably from standing up cooking all that time. Maybe one night I had cooked all night long and standing on that concrete floor, like from selling. After a few days of standing on that stuff, it gets you busy. So you can see how people need all those kind of special socks and everything to keep, and they get varicose veins. Anyway, I had a little formula and it worked. I just went back. I said, okay, I'll take a hot bath in Epsom salt and I'll do a few of my exercises, and I came back ready to go. For the last several days, Like you noticed yesterday, it was difficult to get around a little bit, but I went over and I worked out for at least a half an hour. I mean, lifting weights, and I got my little type of thing that I do, hitting the bag, and I'm hitting the bag specially. I'm not just getting in there, drrrr. I'm using my body in a way to really warm it up, and by the third set, I can punch it like I want. Also, the weights that I'm using. By the time I finish, or even starting, I do some deadlifts. Light deadlifts, of course. But it's dealing with my back, So I do a few deadlifts. Everything goes perfect. It just goes perfect. Okay, then I sit down and I'm doing my, front pushes. I can't do back arms anymore. Or I can if I just want to hurt my elbows. But French curls, they call them. So now I don't do those back arms, either laying down or standing up. So I do, just front pushes for the chest. And it get a little bit of your arms back there, you know what I mean? And then I do set of curls. Let's call them supersets. So by the time I get over to the bench presses, I'm warmed up top, and I do so many of them. And I know how many I'm able to do that'll let me know where I'm at. So I'll do just warm up, and do 4 or 5 or something. Then after that, I do more. And then after that, I do a few more, because you're warming up. And when you get older, you really have to warm up. It's different than when you're young. You can just jump out and start running down the street when you're young. But when you get older, you have to warm up a little bit. Okay, so yesterday, I felt perfect. When I got up in the morning, I got up serious. I couldn't hardly move. And every move is one of them, like sticking a knife in your body. This morning, it was worse than any of those before. But each morning got worse and worse. So first I said, maybe it's the surface I'm laying on. So on top of the bed, I got downstairs. I cut a piece of that wood and put a plank on it. Then I put some of that foam on top of that. You know what I mean? And a little bit more foam, so that that helps your back if you're laying on a flat surface. And then that had a little effect. The next couple of nights, I slept upstairs, and I took a foam pad. Now, I can sleep up there on the floor, just on, with the carpet and the right kind of pillow. But anyway, it was pretty bad. But I would, I got my little warm up. The reason I came here so late, I've been warming up for the last 4 hours. Actually, a little bit before 10, 9:30 or 10, I was warming up. Those little pulleys, those little elastic things they have, and the different color have a different strength. So I have a blue and a red one, a yellow one, but I use the blue one for myself. So when I get up in the morning, I warm up. So after prayer, the first thing I do is I take those things and I warm up a little bit. And then I got a thing behind me and I put it on. I do a little, a couple of sets. And it warms your muscle up so you can get around pretty easy. I got a few that make you stretch over a little bit, so you're putting a little pressure on your back and stomach, and you just, you know what I mean, just lightly. Just a 75-year-old person knows their body and know what to do to get it, up and rolling. This morning, I could say, for the last several mornings, it's been very serious. And this morning, It was so serious, it's unbelievable. Okay, so I got in my mind that I know where this is coming from. I know it's boss man doing it, and I know how it got here. I know that in 1974, when I was in the penitentiary, I know that I worked in the hospital, by the way. So the doc said, he looked at my lungs. He said, man, you got terrible lungs. Have you worked any mines anywhere, all that? And I was thinking, no, I ain't working no mines. Shoot, and I've been running in those days. There's some smoke and stuff in the city I live in, like in Bogota and Medellin. But I'm out getting fresh air too, you know, and I'm doing this every morning, all the time. So I was the captain in the Nation of Islam, so I had the brother that worked in radiology, you know, he was one of the brothers. So I said, man, put that thing on me, you know, that big old thing, and put it I said, take a picture of my lungs. He took a picture of them, and he held them up. He said, boy, them boys look pretty good. I said, they're not cloudy. I remember looking at the other one. They had spots all over it. And he said, boy, that's about, you know, that's the best pair of lungs I ever seen. Them boys is looking good. I said, yeah. So in the meantime, the doctor had told me, you look like you might have sarcoidosis or something. Probably in my genetic makeup, it might be a sign of it there, because I think one of my relatives might have got it a little bit, but it never affected me. So the doc now, by 1974, they got all that stuff. They got a lot of scientific mumbo jumbo going on, and they're instituting it. If you look at that time, they come up with $6 million man in those days. $6 million man was a makeup of a lot of gadgets and stuff, but they were already, you could tell when they do that, they already can see 2 steps ahead. The Russians are sticking people with little things, little old, I guess they could shoot you with an umbrella little gun, and it'll go in your skin, and you'd be just kind of messed up. And the U.S., now they always, you notice they always talk about the Russians did this to so-and-so, and the Russians, like they don't do nothing to nobody, right? So if them and the Russians is equal on everything else, one might be 1.5 and one might be 1.7, but they're all out there. So if the Russians can give you radioactive so-and-so and you ready to drop dead, right? They can imitate that, and they can do it to everybody, and they blame it on the Russians, right? But the Russians have had gadgets from way back in the 60s. Okay, the U.S. has also had them. This is my opinion. In 1974, since I had went all over the world, they had to, you know, like they tag animals, they clip, so they tagged me. I know that because 77, 78, I'm running in the hills. And every now and then, we run in trails like in the woods that are like, you can run a 13-mile trail, or you could run 8-mile trails, 10-mile. You know what I mean? You know which trail, when we run it, which trail we gonna run this morning? So you go back this way, you go this way, and back up. You can go on down to the meadow, and up you can go just a short 4-mile run if you want. Okay. So I had a feeling about all of this, and every now and then, when I'm running by myself, I would zip into the woods. I would just zip into the woods. And when I come out, I would see white folks, like they running all around trying to find something, because before you come out of the woods, you take a peek, and every time, I'm telling you, there they are. Where did they get? So at that time, they could, the beeper stuff, they could about figure where you are. They know this nigga, but is he talking to somebody? What is he doing? Did he drop a note in the ground? You know what I mean? Is he picking up a package? What is he doing? So, okay. That's in those days. I'm going to speed up a little bit, and I'll come to the 90s in South Africa. Before I had all that medical stuff and had to go into the hospital and all of that, the first thing is our friends are doctors and everybody. So this is one doctor. These rich people they take them on all kind of trips. So this trip was no carb diet. So what they did was they would have all of their people go to Dr. So-and-so, Indian doctor. And they'd have a blood test, and then after that, he would write them a diet or something like that. So it's a no carb diet. And it's definitely a weight loss diet, because all they did lose weight, and they, it's regular no carb or low carb diet. So anyway, I went to a couple of meetings, so they had me go to their doctor too. Now, to me, this is just innocent stuff, but it's not innocent. Here's why. I missed 1 or 2 appointments, and they was really getting, hey, you better go get your blood test. So I went and got my blood test. And then I had my doctor's appointment. I got a blood test from one of their nurses or something, and then they sent it in to the doctor. When I went to the doctor, he looked at my stuff and he said, da-da-da-da-da. Then I said, well, what do you recommend? He said, whatever you're doing is fine. Just keep. In other words, he didn't have no recommendation for me. Okay. So they didn't have a blood test from me from nowhere for quite a while. They needed that blood test. What would the blood test do? It'd tell you everything that's going on in your body, just about. Right? It'd tell you what's happening, high sugar, low sugar, this going on, that's going on. But it tells you the strengths and weaknesses. If we want to produce blood clots, that's what happened to me. Well, how is he prone to that? Okay, he's running and he's got good, but we could give him a little bit of so-and-so, and it'll produce blood clots. So this is what was happening for a while. Then, the next time I went to South Africa, another one of my friends is a doctor also. I say, well, Doc, I was 53 then, something like that. I say, I said, when I come here, when I'm in Johannesburg, it's difficult for me to breathe when I'm exercising. I said, but when I'm here where he lived in Petersburg, which is now Polokwane, I said, when I'm here in Polokwane, I'm not, I seem smooth along. He said, well, it's the altitude. He said, Johannesburg is high felt. In other words, it's high up, maybe 6,000 feet. Petersburg is 2,000 or 3,000 feet. You see what I mean? So, you know, the higher you go, the more you so pretty soon, I'll give you a perfect example. Rahman went over to South Africa. Remember the fighter? And then what's the name came over there. He went a month ahead of time. That's why he beat whatever his name was. You notice Rahman didn't win no fights after that. They got him over there. He didn't even know how he got the fight, how he won. He won because he'd been over there doing dawah, his daddy. They doing dawah, took their Quran and stuff over there. He didn't, all that, and they loved him, and they had him going all around, and he was there a month ahead of time. And he was training every day for all that month, right? So when whatever his name was, the dread-wearing boxer, he could beat Rahman. You remember Rahman, though? Yeah, he ain't won a fight since. Think about it. Why did he win in Johannesburg and other guys better? Not Lennox Lewis or something.
He had dreads from England.
That's who he beat. He beat Lennox Lewis. And he ain't beat nobody else, though. Why? Because Lennox Lewis went over there 2 days ahead of time, and it was 6,000 feet up, and he wasn't paying no attention. And after a while, he got a little giddy, and you know what I mean? And what's the name? Been there a month. He's acclimatized. 2 weeks generally for acclimatization. Okay, the point I'm making was, so the doctor told me, he says, well, you know, between 50 and 55, all the things that happened to you in the past will catch up to you. Like, for instance, if you worked on a farm and you bent over all the time, usually the age would be about 47 when it would be like that. Now, for me, when we was over on A Street and I started doing squats, I couldn't do them, or I wasn't getting no benefits. It was hurting my back. Or, you know, you're not hurt, but pull it a little bit. So I stopped doing squats and started doing deadlifts, which give you the same thing as squats, your back, your legs. You know what I mean? And I was at 47. I was 47. And then that's what made me remember the farmers and all of that. When they get 47, not that exact age, a little older, a little younger. Okay, so I'm talking about the body right now. So the doctor told me, he says, well, you know, when you get like 52, 53, 55, the things that you've done that's a second stage for your body. He said, don't you notice before they got all the modern medicines, when people would get in their mid-50s, they would start getting high blood pressure, and by the time they're 60 and 70, that's what the 66 was the age level, you know. Just imagine, 66. It said before simple modern medicine, like to lower your blood pressure, to thin your blood out. Just think those blood thinners. Look what it would have did for Roosevelt and all. Just blood thinners. You know, not to mention antibiotics. But anyway, so he was telling me these things. Now, this doctor is not associated with this scheme that's going on. Maybe the other doctor is in Johannesburg, and the blood takers, and they looked in my blood and they said, well, this guy, we could hook him up with some blood clots. So when I take my family, Sister Bahia, and we drove to California, I guess Sakina was 1.5, maybe 2 years most. When we got up in Colorado, and It was Wyoming. We got up in Wyoming. I stopped at one of them rest stops. It was late at night, and it was too late to go to a hotel because we'd pay all that money, and So I sat in the car, and they was in the back seat. I sat in the car, and and then we at a rest stop. Then we drove. When we stopped in Rock Creek, is it called Rock Creek or Rock Springs? That morning, filled up with gas, and I had my jump rope. So I took a couple of skips, and I was, so I was super tired. And actually, Sister Bahia was kind of laughing as though she knew what was going on. That those blood clots was kicking in, So, and they were in the lungs. They were in the lungs. Now, I'd got a shot of that before, but I won't go into that. But when I got to California, I said, well, we'll be in California a little later. I'm going to run this out. Because everything else I would have, I'd go on a trail and it'd be just gone. I just run and that's it. So I got to running, and I got a real different, I said, this is different. You get a pain, it's different. He said, this is different. Or you break your leg, or you break your foot, or you sprain your foot. When you break it, he said, this is different. This is different. Okay. And if you know those things. Anyway, to make a long story short, I didn't get better. And by the time we drove back and we stopped in Philadelphia, I couldn't even lift a briefcase, So they just took me to the hospital. And when I was in the hospital, the guy said, oh, come on. I looked at him, and the way he was treating me, the little quick test they did, so they gave me something right away, and I urinated a lot. He said, at least your kidneys are working good. And I mean one of them whole bottles to take the liquid off of your body. Another thing is I had a minor something or other because of the lungs, the breathing, and they was considering it a light heart attack, that's the way they was looking at it. It wasn't a heart attack because I've been running all the time and my heart was strong, but they was panicked. You could tell how they looking at you, and soon as they did that, it wasn't but a hot minute that the next day, technically I was ready to go because they gave me a blood thinner and they gave me something to keep the water off of your body. A blood thinner, and the same thing I take now, but I take only 1/3 of what they say, and I'm fine. Anyway, but they kept me in the hospital, then they transferred me to Harriman. Harriman is a big, hospital down there. Then they gave me all kind of tests. And I know from reading that when you go to the hospital now, if you got a certain insurance, they give you every test in the hospital because that's how they make money. So the guy in radiology, now they put the little grease or salve on you, and he put it on my legs, and he looked at my legs, and he said, he said, watch this and listen. So he squeezed my legs, and it went whoosh. You could hear it on it. He said, you hear that? Sounds like an ocean, right? Or a wave. I said, yeah. When he squeezed my leg, the blood, whatever, he know what he's doing. he says, so you're an athlete, huh? I said, well, I do. He said, yeah, okay. So he said, they said you had a blood clot. I said, yeah. He said, far out. You know, a weed smoking white. So he's saying, that's, excuse the language, that's bullshit. Whatever it is, he didn't go into nothing because that's what he do. But he was saying, you and that don't add up. You know, it don't add up. Something is going on here. A few days later, in the hospital, the white lady, Dr. Earn, whatever her name was, she said, look, we're going to put one of these things, right in your groin. It's going to go up and look in your lungs. And I was looking, I said, lungs don't need, them boys look pretty good too. You know, because your blood, you can see your blood endings and all of that, you know. And she said, now you might cough once or twice. I said, cough. So cough is, if your body is rejecting something, if you breathe in something, you'll cough to reject it. If you touch something inside of your body and you cough, that's your body rejecting that. So that's when they attach this modern stuff. See, the other stuff, it got old, the battery run down from 74. This is the way I'm looking at it. And everything falls into this. Now, hey, this is over 20 years later, almost 30 years later, and now they had to put their latest gadget. Now, their latest gadget controls all the flow of everything. That's why they can, and I had to study this. I said, I had to study, is this coming from external stuff like this happening? Not that I know anything about medicine, but when you get down with physical fitness and you studying blood flows and what your heart does, you know, you get a feeling of what's going on in bodies, in the human body. And just a general survey of the latest studies kind of keep you up on what's happening. So you know you're not a medical specialist, but you kind of got to feel if something is happening to yourself or to people. So I studied myself and I came up that they can do whatever they want to me internally now. Because remember, the stuff that's happening to me after that, I have to look and say, is this coming from the outside? Or did they leave something in me? And we've talked about this, and, you know, I mean, this is a regular subject. Did they put something in me? And I came up to the conclusion, yes, that's when they put it in. And they put it in for that reason. And I happened to see some surveys and some documentary. And they was medical examination of somebody, and they showed how when they went into the body of this person, they pulled out a little thing, because the reason they was surveying that person because to see, you know, if the Russians had them, who had them, and they pulled out a little, not cylinder, but a little thing just that big, and it says somebody already into this guy. And not us, but somebody's already got him hooked up. You know what I mean? And so when I looked at myself, I know the cycle. If you get sick, you get a little drowsy, a little this, that, another. Then you get your sickness, it comes on, then you graduate out of it, you know, and then, okay. But all of the stuff that was happening to me, I would be fine today, bam, and it would hit. And I mean, when they had a program over at Howard and a play when Sakina and Fatima was playing in Lion King, I couldn't hardly move. It was unbelievable. And I was telling them I may not be able to make it. And they were saying, oh, you just playing this, that, and the other. So I forced myself to go. And after I got back, when I went to sleep and woke up, I was fine, nothing happening. That cycle persisted. I think I have mentioned this a few things. That I get the monster, next day I can turn flips. That's not the normal human cycle. Or when we was up on the roof, you could tell my balance was off and everything, you know what I mean? And okay, that means they was doing that because you saw me later on doing work that was, I was in there painting every day and doing stuff. Then they can hit you again. So here's the point, and here's the ideas behind what I'm talking about. I know that we got a lot of things planned. Just simple things like this. So I'm going to make sure this is done. You know, I don't feel like it physically, but when this morning is when it hit clean. And so I started writing my little thesis on it. And so now I'm going to give you some ideas. But first I want everybody to remember, you can remember that in physical fitness and all of that, and in endurance, mine is a little bit different than other people's. Example, I was 73 years old when the people was beating me upside the head. And they was beating me upside the head. They wasn't playing. They were beating me upside the head. So after a couple of whacks, which one whack, 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 then I'm conscious I'm under attack. But I'm still getting whacked heavily upside the head with them things that make a noise when you twist it. That's what Mukhtar did. All this is happening fast. Twist, clank, clank, and then while he's doing his attack, Khadijah then pulled hers out and going into their thing. And these things are metal. You can tell they're metal because remember, that was pieces of flesh sticking up on my head. Is that true? It was. Yeah, it is stuff sticking up. In other words, they was knocking pieces of flesh out of my head. So it wasn't no I stumbled into their thing like the white man said about Rodney King. Oh, your head collided with my club. And the court didn't say, man, that's a lie. They just acted like the police was saying, yeah, Rodney King was just cruising along and his head collided with the billy club of the white police. That's what happened to him. You know, he didn't hit him. His billy club collided with his head. Anyway, so in my case, if I'm sitting there, and when you get older, you can't just stand straight up because you're older. When you're young, you can stand straight up with another body on top of you. So I pull his body on top of me. And if anybody ever, we'll make them show the video because I'm sure it's on video. Because my shit is video, just like they was videoing me this morning, like they video everything. And I'm going to get to that, what the purpose of all that is. When all of that happened, and I went to the hospital, the lady said, man, I never seen anybody that happy when they have an assault like that. You know, anyway, those two black women. So I was able to pull him toward me because I wasn't in no shape to do nothing else. Not that I know anything about martial arts, but that's the only thing I could do because I got options. Bam, what option? I just pull him to me, and that'll stop him. Now, in the meantime, I did turn him toward the ground, and when we got to where I was getting on top of him, then she started. And imagine my head is there, and she is 200 and something pounds, probably 300. And she has a clear space for her just to use all of your might and whack, whack. And I can feel all of this. Went to the hospital, and they sent me something saying you were a victim of something or other, so you could receive some counseling and some help and some money, I didn't follow it up, but that's what they said. They said, this guy here, you can fall under the victimization plan they got in these states now. But now remember, when that happened, I waited a whole month and a half before I drove back 3,000 miles. And I'm starting to feel a little bit of that in Colorado. I'll go into Starbucks, and you can't hold the coffee. You know what I mean? It's spilling. I'm spilling the coffee, and so I just dump it. Okay, but I get back here. Now, I stay here for a short period of time, and I drive back. Might as well be to California because Arizona's next door. So I drive another 2,500 miles or something like that, right? And I go through that program, and then I drive all the way back here. So that's 8,000 miles, 5,000 going and coming to Arizona. And I'm showing the people at this program, this is what just happened to me, and I need y'all's help. I didn't get no help from them at all. This is the same time they put Marzia Hashemi out there. Hashemi, to put her name out there. What about Musa? This stuff didn't happen to me, and I'm showing them the pictures, and I'm not getting no response from them. That means that they didn't change their platform, their program as far as I am. And then they interject Marzia Hashemi, right, as a false flag to take any energy from me. And they did that because you ain't heard nothing else from Marzia Hashemi. They did the little phony thing, and then she back in Iran, and ain't nothing happened. You ain't heard nothing about it. But all of that was designed for me. And I talked to her people, or what was our people, in Denver. And they didn't do nothing they were supposed to. Okay, so that means that whatever I am, I'm not a weakling. And because that's 3 or 4 times what anybody else would do, the average person, right? First of all, they'd be laid out, and that's it. I call it a day. That's it. I'm off work now for at least 2 months with all. With what I look like, that's enough time to take a brief absence or something like that, right? Anybody would do that. I didn't take none. I didn't even want to go to the hospital. But my son was looking. You could tell, Dad, you got to go to the hospital. I'm not looking at myself. He's looking at me and saying, man, you got to go. I'm just thinking, I'm not looking at myself, right? Or I just have a little blood running down my head. It ain't no big. That's the way I was thinking. You could hear it on the video. They said, you got to go. I'm at the hospital. I'm a grown man. In fact, that's what I said. I'm a grown man. I don't need to be going to no little hospital for just somebody, a little lump upside the head. Anyway, the point I'm making is that I study this stuff all the time. I'm not up here just saying, yeah, and I don't have no background in what I'm saying because most of us have seen and experienced some of that background. So now I'm going to go and with proper expectations of society. So with what's going on in the world, the woman asks him for 5 minutes for her husband. In France, they won't take nothing because they think it's all a big lie. And other countries, it's not just, and here we want to inject Negroes. You don't know what they're giving that Negro lady? Because other niggas are saying, number one, think about it. Who's dying in this? African Americans, Latinos, and American Indians. 3-1, some places 4-1, in all ways, at minimum of 2-1, us. That stuff it don't look good to me. That don't look good. And then all of the stuff floating around, Will Bezos and all, or basically the few big white folks. Now imagine them. They want to make more money. Well, you have this antivirus, that's fine. We've made enough money to give all our employees $80,000 apiece, and it wouldn't make no, this is ridiculous. They still have more money than when they started. Whatever happened, it's a few of the people getting rich. What is the other thing? You want to reflect climate change, just say climate change, what they're thinking. When they think automation and when they think artificial intelligence, they think, machinery. And they think the human being is useless now. The human being, who needs them? We need a few thousand, maybe a few million. But the way they're thinking is, we can take this earth back to the Garden of Eden. Just get rid of the human beings, right? Not their mama or their children or nothing, but everybody else's. And you know, when you get up in that cloudy area, that's how people think. They think about what's beneficial. Oh, we got to have people work for us, good, we'll have slavery. Forget about all that, because we need all their labor. But suppose you get to the level, go bump, 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 and then, the machines now outproduce the human beings, right now. Less maintenance, it don't cost, you don't have to pay it nothing. You just buy the thing, and it'll last you, put a couple of screws in it, a little oil every now and then, and it'll run for 50 years. Okay. This is how they thinking now. They're not thinking like me and you. They're not thinking the world came in balance. We want to put a balance back in. We have to create a whole new system. Maybe cut down on the population a little bit. The earth can feel comfortable with 2 billion people instead of 6, 7, 8 billion people. So we'll have a graduated thing, and pretty soon we won't have to build any more buildings because everybody will live downtown. And we'll convert a few of those spaces to stores. So you'll be able to walk out, walk down to your store, get your bicycle, and go to the store, or have it delivered. And we'll have big, beautiful parks. We'll take every other street, right, downtown. We'll take that whole street, Broadway, big, wide. We'll make it a park, a long park, a 5-mile park with trees and birds. And they can do that. If everybody, they don't build on no more ranches and only you want to live bring all the people, the new people, or the people living in the old houses out here, bring them downtown and they live up there, because people don't need to go downtown anymore like they did in the old days, right? They don't have to have, to shop, to do nothing. They don't have to do that. Not only that, but everybody work downtown. But in the new environment, think about it. Nobody has to go downtown anymore. There's no such thing because everybody can work at home. Therefore, pollution is gone. All the cars, who needs a car? Who needs a car? Because everybody's healthy. Everybody's walking and riding bicycles and breathing the fresh air from every other big street downtown, right? One street is for transportation and walking or what have you, and every other street is a big park. All long as it goes, a park, right? Trees, fresh air, right? All of that in the park. Or full of, and you got all kind of trees in there, fruit trees for birds. You got this, that, and other. And you can walk in that long park down here, down there, and all the greenery. They could do that. You'll have fresh air outside. And they don't need people to travel from out there to over there anymore. There's no need for these gas guzzlers and SUVs running down there and filling up all the air. You see what I mean? That's the way we think. Easy solution. White folks, the big white folks don't think like that. We can cut out we can cut these folks down and get rid of them. Remember, insane solutions. Get rid of them. Now, they're not thinking about if they make smart learning machines. I was watching one program, they had this chess playing machine to play chess. The first time it lost, but it's a learning machine. And it didn't lose nothing after that. Not them big old monster machines that they used to have, but just a little push a button and they learn. Now, supposing you put in these new modern robotics, let's call them robotics with hands and all that stuff, which is right around the corner. They got enough of them now. They got animals that can jump and run. Next week they'll have niggas, Okay, now, but suppose, we're gonna have safety, don't you worry. And you put in the safety that they can learn, they can do everything, and it take you 50 years to learn anything. And it take that thing 50 minutes to learn everything you done learned in 50 years. The only thing is you want to put a bug in it so it can't fix other machines and it can't do, but if you got all that other smart stuff in there, it's going to figure out, well, we go down to Radio Shack, they don't have radio. We go down to Radio Shack, we get this, that, and another, and we can fix old U2 something or other, and pretty soon U2 something or other can fix me. And guess what? After a while, they will say, who needs boss man? And boss man is that stupid. Artificial intelligence, he'll fix something that can extinct his behind. And that's what the argument, those arguments go on all the time. In the media, artificial intelligence, but the first thing white folks say is, pretty soon they'll get rid of us. And then the other white folks say, oh, they wouldn't do that. We'll put a stopgap in them where they can't. Yeah, but if it's got so much sense and you not monitoring what other is, you know what I mean? And he can plug into everything in the world and he can say, man, there's 3 machines over there that they didn't just sideline and they can do such and such that they can do can complement what we can't do. right? We've been programmed where we can't do certain things, but they got them over there, and they was programmed so that they were experimental model XYZ, right? And they can do this, right? And all they got to do is get one of them rolling, right? I'm telling you, these people are stupid. But one thing they don't care nothing about is me and you. You can forget it. Not only me and you as Negroes, but me and you as human beings. Finally, the white folks are beginning to realize that there's something going on. Okay, now, what part do we play in that? So, remember we said something Bill Clinton said the other day, just because you're paranoid don't mean they're not out to get you. Channel paranoia, what we're talking about now, you know, we're not given time in this evolutionary, the stuff that's happening right now. You know, we've been evolving very good. We evolve. This is part of our evolution. But we're not given before, hey, we could run a game, we're going to run some psychological, digestible mumbo jumbo on the white man. And we plot here, and we dropped a note here, and it takes 15 years to happen. We don't have that time anymore. Do you see what does it have that feeling that we don't have as much time to say, well, we started such and such in 2013. That was 7 years ago, right? This stuff is upon us. Someone has to show the people the way. How you're paranoid, right? But how are you going to use it? For now, how are you going to use that? That's what we're talking about now, right? How are we going to, remember, As-Sabiqun, those who lead the way and those who show the way. So can somebody, there's a pinch of heat, not a whole lot, we don't want to burn up, but just a pinch, we don't want to, the white man already got me, you know, when they stick, can you imagine what knives and those, have anybody ever had sharp pain? Just sharp. Okay, just imagine that all the time, where you get a 30-second rest and another sharp pain. So this is as long as I done had. And I took, and I don't have no more, I exhausted my Tylenol 3s. I took all 3 of them. You know what Tylenol 3 is? It's with codeine, with dope. So right now, I'm doped up, but I'm not nodding and leaning all over, right? Codeine puts you to sleep, takes the pain away. But only reason I'm able to do this now, and I'm not nodding or slow, you know, way all that codeine, heroin, all that, it slows you. I ain't slowed down at all. I'm just like I done drank 3 cups of Starbucks or something, or took a little crank. And I just took 3 Tylenol 3s. I don't think they even have Tylenol. They might have Tylenol, but Tylenol 3 is strong. You take 1 for pain, 2 for extra pain. Well, you know, they don't say don't never take 2, because you can get addicted. But I can't get addicted by taking them all 3. And I'm not nodding like I'm tired, ready to OD or fall out. I'm juiced up like I ain't drank no coffee or nothing this morning. But this idea, channel paranoia, direct paranoia. The people are already paranoid. They got black people ain't even thinking about taking. So we have to think how we can direct the environment we're living in. This has always been our job, right? But now it just rises to another level. Selected paranoia. How do you develop a process where you can look at all of these things that are making you paranoid, but you select those things that are real? You see what I mean? That takes a method. That takes a process, right? How to calm down and select. And you might have organizations and teams. Their job is to be reasonable and to select the things that are real and present us and humanity with solutions that work. So we have to study, this is how to use it. Study the effects of pain. Like pain, that's why we jumped on this pain and how to use it. Pain and focus. Our experience, how to exploit pain. Yeah, that's what this is about. How to exploit pain. And it's not arrogance, it's, oh, boss man. I can see boss man now. And see, we want all our monitors to suggest that boss man, show the videos in the house this morning, you know. So the videos will show you I'm not playing. In order to move, it took me a while to move. And if I reached out and picked this up, I would have to, you know where you do something, you have to get your breath. This morning, a few hours ago, to reach over here and come back, I would have to, just that. So that's why it took 4 or 5 hours of me warming up to be able to go up the stairs and to be able to take what I always take during these times, Epsom salt bath in hot water, extra hot water, where it can help a little. And I've been doing that every day. In fact, I've been doing it twice a day recently. That's why boss man been getting madder, because he's sending a message, we not happy with you. You talking bad to us, and you got to stop. That's what he's saying. I say, oh no, boss man. You thought because I told you if I get pain and suffering and hung upside down, I'm going to say, oh, boss man, and I'm going to quit. That ain't the way it's going. That was a trick to make that sucker do this. That's what tafweed is. So tafweed got me saying that stuff. In Ritha is when you get it, you're happy with it. So I'm happy with pain. Embrace pain. This pain, you can think I'm playing a lot. Okay, you get the vision this morning. You ask my family, can't hardly move, you know. Why? Because if pain and pleasure is, well, Freud, you know what pain and pleasure, B.F. Skinner, that's B.F. Skinner, that's not behaviorism, that's not not Freud, but Freud got a little bit of it too. Pain and pleasure. So what do we have to do? We study in 2 things. Pleasure, the greatest pleasure that we have found that the human being can have is contentment. That's big. Contentment is found in making Allah's work your pleasure. So we get, when we're talking about contentment, But this is not a contentment time. Although we're contented what we got, because contentment is a part of tafweed, turning this over to Allah. So turn it over to Allah means that you make the white man do what you want. Well, how? You tell, oh, boss man, if you do this, I'm going to do that over there. I ain't going to bother you no more. I'm going to take it easy. Well, not I'm going to quit or nothing. But so he thinks, you got to think about this. He thinks that if he does this, finish, that's it. That's not The reason for us saying that, so he would do this, so we would have to embrace pain, study pain, use pain, our laboratory on pain, because that's what he's going to use on others. He's already using it on others. We have to go out and get in front of pain and lead the way by him using the most excruciating pain he can come up with without killing you. Like, see, remember now, it's too late. Imam Musa, we can't take him out and shoot him and throw him in the garbage can. They can do that to other people, or they can shoot them down straight. They can't do it to me. What are their options? We got to give them the options. Therefore, psychodegradable and all that, the white man moved. We're moving him up another cycle. Remember, we want him to go up and up, so we got to go up and up too. And we have to have him, make him do what it takes to boost us up. Of course, tasqiyah bil nafs. But I'm saying is, we have to make him do the things that he's going to do to other people if they don't cooperate, right? He's already doing pain and pleasure on a normal level. We got to get him to go higher. We said it week before that. We done said it almost every week here, that we have to, that led things about, in leadership, you got to lead. It goes as high. If you're a number 5, so to speak, your organization, your movement is not going to go over you, so it's going to be below you. It'll be a number 4 or number 3, right? So we got to get up to number 10, number 9. That means this level, this pain on a scale, hey man, this pain is 9.5. It means that he can't. This pain is I don't even know anybody that would get pain that regular, and pain that if you move 1 foot, you got to take a rest. That's the way it was this morning. I'm on a roll right now. Oh, I strolled in the door all tired and messed up. But this subject is deep. Let me get on because, so, this pain is sharp and continuous. It's like torture. So I said that if the white man torture me, so I have to tell him and say what will make him torture. Why? Because the people observing, one thing is people are observing the torture. So when they look at the torture, they would have to either become crazy people or sympathetic. Crazy mean like the School of the Americas, they call it something else now. They teach people torture. And the people they teach torture, they get off on torturing people, you know. They get off, yeah, you holler, the louder you holler, the better I feel, right? There are people like that. They teach them how to be like that. They don't teach you how to warm and cuddlify. If somebody feels bad, do this and that. They don't teach them that. They teach produce pain and then exploit the pain. That's what they teach them, right? So we are having a counter session right now. The first stage step in elaborating on pain. But right now, we'll be into it, deep into it. It don't make no difference how much. That's the beauty of it. See, for me, I was telling the truth. Man, I sure wouldn't like to be hung upside down, the white man. You know where you're thinking, well, I wouldn't like this and I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't want them taking my testicles and putting the pliers on them. Okay. But so you have to produce. Tafweed don't mean, that's not my strategy. That's Allah's strategy. You tell the white man this, and don't worry about it. You tell him, boy, I sure wouldn't like that. That's what the boss man gonna do. Right, and it's proven. Everything that, if I take all a big box of my literature out there to California and I take it with me everywhere, that means I don't want the white man to bother it. So he's got to bother it, right? That's what domestication means. I don't want to get too deep out there, but that's what we're doing all the time. I hope you, that's what we're doing all the time. We don't do nothing else here. Everything happened. If you think I'm just moseying along, poor fella, then you're missing the point. I'm watching everything that happens in our life. Everything. And everything, this is a study book. Okay, just pay attention here. Our experience. We have to exploit pain, and that's why Tafweed means that Allah made him do that. So he would do this to me, right? Rida is I'll be happy with it, right? Remember, you heard me say, I sure wouldn't want that, right? But here I am. I sure am happy. And I'm not pretending. This boss man has been very painful. It's like torture. And each day it got deeper and deeper. So this morning, it was 5 times as bad as yesterday, and yesterday was sufficient. And the day before that, so this is not a new phenomena. This thing has been going on for a certain length of time. One thing is, we don't want them to have little programs like this. So the main thing I said this morning, because you're having all that pain, man, I'm going to pull that off the program. We ain't pulling that off the program. We're just going to have, maybe y'all have to help a little bit more. Like when we finish, go down, peel a lot of potatoes, leave a big thing full of potatoes and water, and the turkeys, find out where they are, and take them out and soak them in a big things of water down there, right? Then we'll do that. See, we got several days to the program. So either tonight I'll come over, and remember, standing up used to be easy, but standing up, which you do down there cooking a lot, I'll just have to bring a chair like I did before and do most of it sitting down, right? But we're going to have our program. And if we talk 10 minutes, 1 hour, we're going to have the program. You see what I mean? Having the program is urinating in the eye of boss man. Just talking right now. Because he didn't expect, no. Look, you can think I'm faking with that pain. I'm sorry. I'm not faking with the pain. That pain is pain boss man produced. Functional pain. Functional. You know, again, how to not only adjust to it, but using functional policies like fuel for pain. It's another psychological gorilla, whatever that was, where we made the white man produce. We took the SHIT he gave us and psychodegradable. It's the same thing. We take the pain, change it around, and use it. Psychodegradable. They can't whoop when a Negro, look, I'm telling you, you can believe it or not. When a Negro break out and run, he run faster than anybody and get out in front of them. Leave people behind. But when a Negro get worse than them old bulldogs or what's them old mean dogs, when they get hold to a white man, that's why we got hold to the white, he has nothing he can do. No, I'm telling you. Yep. Okay. For the white man, they got the final solution is out. They figured out Well, that's what we got to do, artificial intelligence, and this, that, and other, and we'll have a nice, clean world. Because over the years, the Negro and the other people will look up, and they about all gone, and it'll be too late. Yeah, okay. So proud of, yeah, they're going to have to watch. They're going to have to watch. Because some kind of way, these videos will creep out. See, they videoed the beatings, they videoed all of this. Like, I know that I'm on camera because I told you I test every time. I go do something, and then, like I was telling Sakina this morning, I said, when you finish watching this, you'll be able to do anything. You won't be scared of nothing because you're watching your father deal with this. And don't you worry about a thing. Okay. They will watch or request a visual witness. So there'll be visual witnesses. Remember, all the stuff we wanted, that's what we're getting here. This in a higher level. To witness, shahada, is to bear witness to something that you have seen. Our community will bear witness to the whole world to show them what can be done. The same mission, As-Sabiqun. But nobody thought, you asked anybody 30 years ago, well, As-Sabiqun mean you going to do, and they just come up with stuff. It wouldn't have meant that. As-Sabiqun, those who show the way. When we show people what you can put up with, you got to remember, they don't, not only show them what they can put up with, but show them how to embrace that. Oh, you going to beat me upside the head, boss, would beat me more. You was only going to do it 20 times. We want 50. Come on with it. It's like anything else that they're going to do. You tell, well, bring it on. Don't bring a little, bring more. With pain, with suffering. What they call suffering is pain, but it's not suffering. What they doing is suffering, getting up, going to work every day and paying bills. That's suffering. People suffer. They're suffering. They don't think it's, I think it's suffering. When I look at people's, the way they living, I said, boy, they suffering. When I used to look at the people in Oakland, because they all felt sad, poor Imam Musa, he don't have a wife there and this, that, and another. Well, I have children and everything. Y'all just put them in jail, right? Why? Because they're smart enough to see what y'all doing. But he put them in jail, and they was young boys, and they back again. And guess what? Everybody else is dead, and they're still alive, right? I'm telling you, this whole thing is already set. It's too late for them. So witness the process. So the monitors will either become psychos like the School of the Americas, or they'll develop sympathy. So people watching this and listening to this, they'll either, yeah, that nigga deserve it, yeah, or they'll become sympathetic. It's possible. So it's good that the boss man do whatever he do. Self-pain monitoring in order to manage use properly. Let me go with self-pain monitoring. Monitoring your own pain, right? It's like a laboratory. Monitor your own pain in order to manage it properly. That's what we're doing right now. That's part of our mission in this period. Self-pain management. Self-pain monitoring in order to manage it and or to use it properly. Strategic laboratory of pain study. Remember strategic management under conditions of repression? We were the most repressed community in the United States. It's evident, everybody, right? we were the most, well, we don't say is, but we were the most oppressed community in the United States for decades. So we come up with strategic management under conditions of repression, right? It's simple. It's the same thing we talk. That's been our mission. This is what As-Sabiqun does. Whatever they throw at us, whatever SHIT they throw at us, it's our job to transform it. Yeah, in the fertilizer. That's our job. That's what we're doing. When you can take pain, nobody wants pain or level 1 pain. Definitely don't nobody want number 5. We're going to show them how to take it up to, well, if we get up to 9.5, we'll be able to bring people up to where you can take number 7 and 8 number of pain. Yeah. Because they're not going to get out in front of us because they ain't going to go running after it like we do. Come on, boss man, more pain. I'm telling you. That's what we do. And as we said, embrace pain. So this is from, well, that was from last night. That's what we was going to talk about today. But what we were going to talk about, era of extreme discipline and focus. Same war, different battles. This is the same war, and this is different battles. We're winning the war because we anticipate the battles and moving along. So it says here, this is from the 19th, that's just, I accept, anticipate, manage, the team upkeep, semi-daily, Property management, we'll talk about that a little later. Team sign, that means that property management around here. Just doing something once a week, we'll have a kind of a sign up where we'll work every day on our property, you know. Because you have to imagine, we have the masjid here. We have other property. If we work once a week, the place will continue to fall apart, right? Because you can't. So we're going to upgrade it, but it will be a team effort. And remember, we had talked about a team effort. And Allah help you by making it where you have to have a team effort. Because see, everything around here, just think about it, I did it myself. Most of the money we raised, I raised most of the money. I'm just saying so everybody know. The school, if we had it for 10 years, and that means we spent $500,000 on the school. Maybe nobody come by and said we sure appreciate that, but all the kids are in the best universities, right? Can you imagine a nigger school? And all our kids, well, at our high school, 20% of the people become college graduated. But at our school, 90% of the Negro children that went here not only graduated from other schools, when they transferred to them Negro schools out there, they was 2 years ahead. Or 3, the people never, some of the stuff they studied here, they never even studied out there because that home, what do they call it, homeschooling, that is a serious course. But anyway, so all the buildings we built, and I learned how to build stuff. Just build that, then build that, then build that, then the little gym. And the gym is just what I wanted it to be. It looks like, you're working out inside, but it looks like outside. It's not clean and debris free, because it ain't debris free outside. I never wanted to work out inside. It just got so cold. Remember we used to work out outside? You get your hands on that bar and it almost stick, it'd be so cold. And it rains and you want to work out outside. It's raining and cold and you're getting 60 years old and all that, and almost 65. So, well, it's time to go inside. But that little gym is inside, but it looks like outside. I don't never do nothing to it because I never wanted to work out inside. I just wanted to work out outside. Now I work out inside and outside at the same place, right? They used to call it looks like a yard shack in prison, which we used to work out in the yard shack. That's what it looks like, exactly like, not exactly, but okay, get turkeys ready. Property managers, get turkeys ready. So we'll get our couple of turkeys out, and then we'll soak them in brine, and we'll do that today or tomorrow. Maintain attitude of optimism. Remember when I was knocked at the hospital over there, I couldn't talk. Only thing I could say was, I don't know how it sounded. Optimism. It might have sounded like optimism. Did it sound like optimism? A little bit. It meant optimism. And and the brothers, probably you told the brothers, I don't know, but man, you wouldn't feel comfortable sitting there looking, at the man with them, because it looked pretty bad, right? It looked pitiful. It wasn't pitiful to me. And I'm telling you, you can't say this stuff is not real. I was going for days, right? I couldn't use my hand. You could see my hand was like, and I get a call, and 2 days later I'm running and jumping in the hand. You're gonna have to study at the house. They're trying to get me to read rat, cat, bat, hat, and all of that stuff. That's what they had down there. Excuse the expression. I said, I'm not reading that shit. What are you thinking about? I'm reading, and I got my articles that I could still read, but I couldn't write because my hand. So I said, well, I'm going to have to write with my left hand, And this one got all right. I had a ball. I would squeeze the ball and then take a rest, right? And then you can imagine, before I went into the operating room, the ex-president of Iran called me on the phone, and the brother said, somebody wants to, over there, wants to talk to you. And it was Ahmadinejad. And he'd learned enough English. He practiced with the brother to tell him, I hope you get better. Halfway, I knew it was him, but when they got you getting ready to go under, you can't tell nothing. Anyway, I remember the kids came down. I was looking at them like, happy to see y'all, but I don't, who are y'all? Somebody's kids, I guess. But anyway, come right out of there. And a few days later, we up and rolling. But all my legs are swole up. Well, remember they were swole. I go to the hospital, Brother Tufel took me over there, and the man said, well, looks like you might have, because when your legs swell up, you might have diabetes, you might have kidney trouble. I said, F you. I ain't got none of that S-H-I-T. And I left. He gonna try to tell me, now already it just come out of the crazy house, and I'm still like wobbly. I go out in the morning and wobble. Boy, I used to laugh at myself. I said, boy, the people, they ain't even paying attention. I know if you feel as stupid as, if you look as stupid as you feel, you's a pitiful fella. And you got to have fun with yourself. You got to have fun. You can't be, this, that, and other. No, you got to have fun. So you make fun of yourself. If nobody else will, hell, make fun of yourself. So I was saying, boy, look at here. You walking up that hill, and I would walk halfway up the hill. Now you're tired, nigga, and you want to go back, don't you? And then you talk to yourself, hell, I am going back. I do what I want to do. You're just having fun. You got to have fun with yourself. Because walking up the hill halfway was a big progress. It was big progress because you walk to the store over there one day, and then you say, after a couple of days, I'm going to walk up the hill. It feels very strange when you've come out of that hospital. It feels, all this stuff feels strange. But anyway, so all of those things you acquire the ability to deal with, and then you're able to teach it to other people. Okay. Well, the turkeys, we'll boil the gizzards and the neck. Because if you find some gizzards in the gravy, just put them there because you like the gizzards. Do everybody know what gizzards are? Well, good for you. Good for you. A lot of people don't know what gizzards are. Young people, they don't know that cotton comes from a plant, except they watch the Negro movies. They think cotton come in a bowl at the damn CVS. They do. There's something wrong going on around here. They think cotton, that's where cotton comes from, the damn CVS, right? In a package. They don't know niggas have to pick cotton or Indians, wherever. You pick cotton. Cotton come with seeds in it. It have to be processed. Okay, gravy, we'll make that good. Maintain an attitude of optimism. Study to see how far they say I have come. Study to see how far they say I have come. Now, that means that we're into their head to see where they think we are. Okay. This is the season for writing. Now, this is good. This is good because I've been putting off writing. So boss man caused so much pain, I'm just going to write about it. Yeah, because it's time to write. Yeah. And you remember, these incidents is what produced the time. Yeah, we're going to write. We always say we got to write this, we got to write that. And we do. We're taking notes and all that. But all these notes are parts of what will become the writing. But now we have to do the writing. We even have a folder for writing. As-Sabiqun Liberation Movement. Our next phase. Now, of course, we say it's our next phase. We're always talking. But this is our next phase. Writing, file work, pain management, showing how pain can be used, and showing how pain should be used. People don't think about pain like we're talking about it today, do they? Tell the truth. Oh, I hurt. That's what you're mainly going to say. Oh, let me go lay down. We're not saying that. We're saying use pain as a motivator and make sure that you use pain to help you focus on what you're doing, not divert you from what you're doing. They give you pain to divert you, right? Of course. Huh? Yeah. Some medication. They can't hook me because I already took all three of my little dope pills. What was it? Yeah, whatever it was. I took them. And you can't get hooked in one shot. Okay. First program in Oakland, explain past history up to now. Pass out, COINTEL program, then and now. This is about some of the programs we're going to have in Oakland. So we're going to gather a lot of people together. And we're going to explain to them what's been happening. We'll have at least 2 programs like that. To go to everybody, come to a program we're going to have here. It'll be mostly people we know. This is what we have been doing. This is what this stands for. And we'll even tell them, most of y'all could have been here, but you stopped early. You stopped in the big nigga stage. And you never got bigger than a nigga. But see, all the people, a lot of the people, they had the same possibility that we had. And they had the character. They was big. But they never shifted to this. They just stayed back in that. That's why they died who they was. And they never contributed to the great. One of my friends have a picture. He said, now, it's with the Rahbar. He says, one guy I know from Afghanistan, he saw that picture. He said, that's your friend? I said, yeah. He said, that person that he's meeting with, nobody can meet him. They can't. It said Madeleine Albright. Said Madeleine Albright, they can't meet him. You know, they said, so he has a feel, but it's not the complete, total feel. We're going to have to explain to them what As-Sabiqun liberation movement means. And we have to let them know that y'all got 2-3 more years to live. Allah knows best. Hey, give it a shot. You ain't going to catch me unless you run awfully fast. But you can do something. You can do something. It's still not over. Yeah, it's just not over. First program in Oakland, March or April. No llores por mí, Oakland. Don't cry for me, Oakland. No. I have to explain to them. And that thing that came on about Trump, and me listening all day yesterday and the day before to this song over and over again by Americans, by Spanish-speaking people, and the life of, the lady was big. She was big, this lady down there, you know. She was very big. The biggest woman down there, and she was for women's rights. That's why you see at some of them meetings of millions of people out there. Most of them are women, and then men too. But she started something before in the vice presidency. She became the vice president as hell as 50 years ago. No, excuse me. If she died in 52, she became the vice president either in 50 or 46. The first election was 46. But technically, I don't remember whether she was actually the vice president or they was mentioning in speeches that if the general wants me as vice president, it's okay. But I never wanted that. That's what she's saying. So, Evita Peron, and the biggest, it's had to be 1 million people at this meeting. You know, big rally. Again, they're up on a big balcony. And this, because you can see it on, you know where they show it on the movie. They're saying, Evita, evita. You know what I mean? In other words, the general is supposed to speak. We don't want to hear him. We want to hear her. And they got to go get her. That's how big she was. You know, okay. The point is, every time we're getting ready to make a move, something jumps off to set it off right. And that's what we're going to do. Let's see. I might be able to pull one of them up. But anyway, the lady was big. She started off poor, just like us, with no direction, no guidance, and what have you. And something happened to where her life took on new meaning. And she took the bait God gave her. You know what I mean? So that's why she was poor, but she never became, let's see. She never became little. She grew big and bigger. So big that you could tell they sing this song almost that every time you look up and you could tell that how big, that it was something very big. Okay, that's why we like it. And I listen to the song every day for the last couple of days because old Don was acting a fool. This is the funeral. I think I'll just go on and keep moving. But
a spaceship far away. I have to warn them about the conditions on Earth.
But anyway,
You want to be an explorer, but your own life is just slipping away.
every time we get ready to go on a certain trip,
It's too late.
Allah sent us something that it may not mean nothing to anybody else. What does the lady down in South America mean? But to me, it means a lot. Guess why? I used to live in South America. When I was in South America, her husband came back to become the president of Argentina. 30 years later, I think he died in the presidency in 74. You still always hear about descamisados, the shirtless ones. You know, camis, shalwar camis, camis in Spanish is shirt, the shirtless people. Hey man, those were her followers. And that's what, okay, now we came into this and we took advantage of it. And maybe some people like it, and maybe some people don't. They had her laying in state for years, and the people, the guard that was guarding her, couldn't stand it no more and just had sex with the dead body. And in the tomb, on her tomb, it says that there's no peace for the tomb. In other words, the people say anything and do anything they want, but it don't stop the work she was doing. And the cancer that killed her at 32 or 33 was supposed to happen. We say, mashallah, right? In other words, if something happened, you couldn't change it, they couldn't change it, so it must have been for a reason. You know, for Argentina not to move to that place, it could have been because its association with Nazism. We don't know. Not that she was associated with Nazi, but her husband, and that gold that was supporting a lot of their big stuff was Nazi gold. And maybe Allah didn't want that to happen. We don't know. That's why Allah knows everything. And Allah created everything, and that's why we try to ascertain what would Allah want us to do in this period. And at that period is when you go on and do what you feel is right to do. Other people don't think like that. I'm not saying they big or small, but it's 1% of the people that even, it's only 2 or 3% of the people that have real goals in life, the purpose of life, So imagine who would have those type of goals. Okay, get turkeys ready. We already went to the folder for writing. Almost explain. Explain evolution. So I'm going to explain the riot in the field house in '63 when I stood up on the boxing ring and said charge. Okay, no big deal. But I did an extra year. Instead of going home in '63, I went home in '65. In fact, it was a few days after Malcolm was martyred. I came home. He was martyred February 21st. I got out on March the 7th, 2 weeks after he was martyred. Iron Power. The story about Posey, does anybody remember that? Posey. I was only 17. I didn't want to, I'm explaining to them. Because see, all of my friends are like Posey. They big Negroes. And some of them even, like now, openly work. Like as a counselor in a drug program, And some of the big programs that they have in Oakland, some of my friends manage those programs for the government. No, I got it, I'll get to it. Don't worry, we're going to. And 65 and 66, when the government came to me with my other friends and eased me into dope. And if I wouldn't have got into dope, I wouldn't be here. You see what I mean? So who's been managing my progress all along? Boss man. By doing something against me, that's why I have confidence in him. No, look back to all of those years. Everything they did against me was for me, right? Who didn't want to go home in 63, 64? I wanted to go home. But I went home a year later. A whole year at that age is a long time, right? It came out best for me because I had gained the discipline, the self-control, and I became a little petty, nobody had seen a Muslim before, hardly. And I was a vegetarian, still lifted weights, and my friends was boxers, all them George Foreman's period people. They was all Charlie Shite, they all went running in the hills. And what do I do now? They don't run in the hills no more, I do. Because those habits, I kept doing them. And when my friends influenced me not to work at the factory no more. I was working at the factory. Hey, that was a good job for those days. It was a wonderful job. I was happy to be out of the penitentiary and 20 years old and never even, they never paid, well, they did pay us a job. They paid us 50 cents a day to fight forest fires. They were so, boss man is good to you. If you act right, he'll treat you right. He'll pay you 50 cents a day to risk your life. Fight forest fires, yes he will. He'll do that. So I give him his credit. He'll give you 50 cents a day to risk your life, yes. He thinks you're important. Very, very important. But they held me up from going home. And by the time I went home, I had incorporated the culture of the Nation of Islam. No smoking. I used to smoke. I didn't smoke anymore. No drinking. I didn't drink anymore. When I left, when we went out on Friday night, I would just take a fifth of wine, they call it guzzling. You just open your throat, glug, 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 and you could drink it down. You open your throat, this is a technique that niggas had, and you could guzzle. Some people could guzzle a half a gallon. I could just turn my head back and glug, 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 glug. Guzzling, we called it, and you could take it down. That's how we started our night on Friday night. Glug, 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 and you could tell within a few hours, you crazy and everything else. That stuff kick in. But I came out, oh, what do you eat? I don't eat none of that old meat. What? Pork? You don't eat pork? Heck no, I don't eat no pork. Pork is poison. Pork is a rat, cat, and a dog. That's how the white man fixed that thing up. You eating that, and look at all that snot. Look in the in the pig, where the pig feet are. Don't it look like snot in there? That's the pig feet. Anyway, they rescued me from all that. I could have been like Zaid Shakir or Fahim Shuaib even. I could have been like them. Abdul Malik. I could have been like Siraj Wahaj. I could have been like Siraj. I could have been like them. Can you imagine? I could have been like them. I could have been like my friends in Oakland. And here we are. You have to admit, no matter what happened, we're trying to fit in our best place. Okay, and I'll be quick. Necessary evolution. They try to stop any and all momentum. They try to stop this. We're not going to stop it. We're going to have it. We're going to have it because that's what we're doing. And if you were sitting down there this morning hurting like I was, you wouldn't want to do that. That's why I wrote these this morning. I wrote all of this morning. Before I didn't had coffee, I ain't had no coffee. Before I could even move, before I even could put clothes on, because you couldn't, if you take clothes off, it's too hard to put them on. It's too hard to reach down and put one foot in one of these, whatever this is, trousers. Because remember, I used to say, call it the pain trap. If I was tortured, I would say, oh, boss man, I was just playing. You don't want to hurt old Musa. And I have here psychological trap. That's what that was, psychological trap. In a way, I was telling them the truth, but I have here tafweed and rida, that I was setting him up without even knowing it. That's what this is, domesticating the white man. Yeah, we have strategic planning and all that, but most of it is coming from Allah. Because remember, Allah give you the timing. It's like this. When the Prophet ﷺ threw dust in the face of the Quraysh, there's dust everywhere. The horses kicking up dust, camels kicking, it's dust everywhere. If he pick up a handful of dust and throw it at the enemy, it has no effect on nothing. But it confounded the enemies. And the Quran say, you didn't throw, I threw. But technically everybody knew he threw. So the Mufassir say that he threw, but Allah aimed it. In other words, all of this stuff, if we was figuring it out, we wouldn't figure out nothing but regular old colored stuff. We have to stop. This is a climate of insanity, wars, murders, insane solutions. Are any of the solutions the white man have insane? Yes, every last one of them. We want to bring back balance and harmony. He wants to bring back imbalance, pandemic, artificial intelligence, anti-human. Okay. That should be enough for now. That's what we wanted to talk about, and that's what we talked about. I hope it makes sense, but that's where we are. And we say, bump the white man. Bump the system. If anybody's scared of it, they can be scared. Scared all you want. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it to be afraid of a fool. And the white man's a damn fool. Everything he does is insane. Everything he's doing right now is insane. And Biden can't help Biden, because Biden trying to do, he got one or two good, well, we're going to have this, that, and other. It ain't going to do nothing. You bad as they are almost. You're a bad boy. Are there any questions or comments? Any questions or comments?
A sister said, Alhamdulillah, mashallah, your place was predetermined. I guess this was when you were talking about boss man would do different things.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Where
okay.
you are, you know.
Okay, now with this other stuff while you're reading, we need a little assistance in this. Remember, we want y'all to write us, contact us from time to time, but we want a certain number of y'all to download all of these lectures with that little gadget they got. They can download it, right? Okay, we want you also to download all our As-Sabiquns, right? And all of our, not movies, but whatever they call them. And send me a couple of copies of the downloads. Like if you make a download for yourself, make a download copy for me and send it to me. The more we get, the more the better to get. Because remember, out of all the great lectures Malcolm made, we only have a few of them. There's 30 lectures, and there's others. He made hundreds of talks. He, just like we do all these talks. Okay. Not that we can prepare for the next thing, but see, if boss man disappear you, he'll try to disappear your record. And if he disappeared for 5 or 10 years, the period of when this stuff is functional will have passed. Yeah, because now things are moving so fast. Like if you play the Ballad of the Bullet now, it don't make no sense. The Ballad of the Bullet, right? And all that, they were in a different era. It's like that was people used to get mad because I talk about Beyond Malcolm. And I would say, yeah, beyond Malcolm. I said, so actually we're beyond that. Basically, they'd be saying, you just a nigga. Malcolm did this and Malcolm did that. I said, so do we, 10 times. I said, everything Malcolm did, we do it 10 times over. If he visited Africa, we didn't visit Africa 100 times. We visited Africa every other month sometime. And sometimes I said, you visited Africa many times, and you was the only woman speaking at a program with thousands of people in South Africa, and you're from here. They didn't have any woman from there. Look at the honor you had. Because there, a lot of women didn't go to the masjid. And I remember we was at one rich lady's house, her and her daughter, they call it creative avoidance. They were supposed to go to the masjid one day. We're going to go to the masjid for Juma. And I said, well, did you make it? He said, no, we drove around till Juma was over. Creative avoidance. They just didn't go because women don't go to the masjid in South Africa. And now they go. Yes, is there any more there?
Yeah, this is the brother that had set up that program you were a part of earlier this year. He's asking, he said, in the name of Allah, most compassionate, most merciful, Assalamu alaikum, Imam Abdul Living Musa. This is Salver from Toronto, Canada. We would like to know if we can have your blessing of your speech in the 42nd anniversary of Islamic Revolution's webinar on February the 13th at 7 p.m.
Sure.
And I'll forward him your phone number so you can.
Yeah. Yeah, we can definitely do that. The 42nd anniversary, do you know how happy we was on the 2nd and 3rd anniversary? Unbelievable. Nobody believed it. We didn't believe it. I mean, loved it, but I said, man, do you know what's going on here? This is the 3rd anniversary. Like maybe that's 82 or something. So this is the 3rd anniversary, man, of the revolution in Iran. It's the 3rd anniversary. Then it kept going on, and now people take it for granted. But look, there's more pressure on them now than it was in those days. Yeah. And they still rolling. That's why I tell them every time, I say, man, y'all is rolling, you don't even know. And they don't. You know why? They're thinking about, the prices are high and the government could do better. They're not like watching the world and saying, let me see, they have dictatorships here, they have liars over there, they have this and that, and we got the Islamic government. They don't say that. Some people understand what they got. I believe at least 30 or 40% really love it. But it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. Any more comments?
Yeah, there was a comment that I saw on the Vita video. One of the brothers, you know how sometimes one of the brothers said songs with like a question mark and an exclamation point. You know how sometimes the brothers get
Yeah.
music and stuff.
Yeah.
One of the brothers didn't like that, but
You didn't like it? No, but we put it, look at the context.
right.
We put Donald Trump on there, the lady. It was relating to Donald Trump. I kept my distance, and she's singing to, I didn't see it but once, she's singing to the police, the staff and all of that. I kept my distance. And it's making fun of, I didn't even listen to it to figure out what she was making fun of it. But it was a direct connection. You got to look. The connection was between Donald Trump, Argentina, Covita, Evita, who became big, and her husband Juan Perón had, I could tell you movies to go see, the Grey Wolf, something like that. Go look at Grey Wolf. Yeah, look at Grey Wolf. The white folks will tell you, you know, it's a documentary. That's one that I remember. Watch that, and then all of this will you be hooked up on all of that. And we're saying, look at all of that, and look at what we're all dealing with, and look at the roots of everything happening here have roots. And all you can see is the fruit of the tree or even a few branches and leaves. But if you know where to go back to the root, that was the beauty of the travel. I didn't just stumble on this. I was stumbling throughout, I'm telling you. When I went to Bolivia, the first night, it was German, Italian, and a German, Italian, who else was in the war? Germans, Japanese. That's who I met. And you look in Bolivia, those big, beautiful Japanese farms, been there, that's then. And remember, this wasn't last year, this was 50 years ago. And to go across Lake Titicaca during that period, you haven't looked at the map, Lake Titicaca is 12,500 feet up. Geographically, it's the highest navigatable lake in the world. It's down in the border of Bolivia and Peru. I'm crossing that. It's a group of white folks on that boat, a German tour group. And me and the white boys talking, he said, yeah, because it was all in the news, it was 71, 72, something like that. They looking for so-and-so to escape Nazi criminal. And here's a German tour group. Can you imagine? It just popped up out of the German tour group, then came. I'm telling you, that Nazi was probably on the boat. Because all they got to do is leave one German in some little town and he loses passport. Then they bring the other German and take him either back to Germany or go travel wherever they want and drop him off in Yugoslavia, anywhere. Right? Because they got connections all over the world. They still exist. The CIA was created by the Nazis. What's wrong with a song? Look, and for Oakland, no llores por mí, Oakland. Don't cry for me, Oakland. I'm saying that about me. You looking at me getting beat upside the head and they put me in jail every other week. Don't cry for me. Don't cry, don't have any tears for me. I'm the happiest man in the world, or happiest one I know. You see what I mean? Don't cry for me, Oakland. Same thing about the song. And then you ought to know that song. Why does everybody, you look at the people, why does everybody else in the world know the effects of that song and you don't? Why is it millions of women throughout Latin America sing it? Why they have a chorus on there and a choir? Because you have 2,000 people in the choir. Y'all saw that on the thing. 2,000 people for what? Why is it so spiritual? Because you listen to her lectures that you're going to get go forward, economicals, espiritual. She's telling them on, you see it on the lectures. She was big. So you don't have that opportunity. I did. I listened to look at Francisco Villa, Pancho Villa. You don't know what he did in Mexico. You don't know how important. You don't know the U.S. troops chased him around Mexico and he laughed at them. He was laughing at them. You know, General Pershing, Black Jack Pershing. He was down there in Mexico chasing Pancho Villa. Okay, so y'all have George Washington and other niggas around. We looked at the whole world and all of those people that made a commitment, they're our people too. We base a lot of our studies on China, based on China, but we don't use the Chinese solution, we use our solution. That's what is it if we'd have traveled all over the world and came back a local nigga just like we left? Without learning nothing, right? That's what other people do. They go around the world, they don't come back, no big change. But when you're active, I'm telling you, well, excuse me for talking too much, but I'm telling you, we're living in a special time. I thank Allah for this. Songs, you could have plenty. You don't know the value of songs. Does anybody know Kiku Sele, Africa? Pull up the national anthem of South Africa, if you can.
That's like saying, when you mentioned As-Sabiqun,
Right.
that's like saying poems, you know.
Yeah.
Right? I know where you're going, right? But every culture is going to have a rallying cry, whether that's a part of their culture to encourage the people.
Right.
You know, so
Do you have that song, Kisele Africa?
Oh, well, sorry, what was that one more time? The one
Or just the national anthem of South Africa? Or the rebellious song? They sang that song at every gravesite. You know what I mean? They sang that song. When you hear that song, you're getting, it puts you in a mood. You know what I mean? And remember, we talk about songs here. As I say, Kuswahili, something of Africa. Put Nelson Mandela Freedom Song. Do you have it?
you got it? No.
That's it. Start it over and let's hear that as we close. Yeah. That, of course, that's not a good one, but huh? Yeah, in Costa Sikele, Africa. Okay, that's okay. Now the point about song. When the song of Argentina, when you think of that, I don't know if you remember, I said that reminds me of unfulfilled dreams. Now, think about South Africa. The whole world for decades was focused on apartheid. And people demonstrated. If you think I have pictures of peoples, you ought to see the amount of people at those demonstrations in '86 and all of that, and disinvestment, de-investment of all those things that was going. You was probably at Howard in those days. If you was from South Africa, you was a hero. You know what I mean? People would invite you to speak, and look what happened when they had funerals, and then here they kill a lot of people. But South Africa, look at when the kids had to strike, '76. You can see the picture of the guy carrying the little girl, the school kids, they was running, carrying his little brother or somebody. And them guys in them Caspers, you got to remember, them guys up in them big Caspers, they would be shooting down at people, slaughtering. You don't even know how many people got killed. Look where they lived, right? Look where they lived. And they, we talk about people getting whipped. The white man carried a whip, and they was whipping niggas. You see them running, and they was whipping people then. It is modern times. And when I hear that song, the one we just sang, when we stand up, I would sing it with almost watery eyes because I could remember all of their struggle. And then guess what else I remember? All the shit they're going through now. And you could predict it. Unfulfilled dreams. Why the hell wouldn't we want to listen to that stuff and remind us that we got a shot this time? Why not go for it the right way? Why not make sure? So remember, you don't control all of this stuff, but part of memory is remembering all the struggles of others that stop you from turning around, stop you from getting crazy and stupid. because you didn't lose as many people, nor did you get treated. You're talking about 400 years. The Dutch came there over 400 years ago. And they enslaved them people. They took their land. They take the Zulus. One of the saddest things, one of the brothers, he was mad. At this meeting where I was telling you about the brother in Durban, where the Zulus, they was having, we was having a meeting, and this martial artist guy, he didn't say I have this, but I picked it up. He had 53 orphans in his martial arts studio. Then another one, at the same meeting, another brother told me, "You ever see the movie Shaka Zulu, brother?" I said, "Yeah, I saw it." He said, "I hated that movie." He hated it so bad because that's one of their leaders. They knew how he was. And they knew how the white man had him wearing a grass skirt running across the hills. Not as a strategist. You know what I mean? Okay, nobody else care. I care about all that stuff. And I care about everybody's struggle everywhere in the world. And I know the mathematics too. Them bums get power and screw everybody else. And all the peoples got killed and all the babies died of hunger and got drowned and all of that. That's the history of the earth, right? It's the basic history. You have few high spots in history where, hey man, those people got power and they did what they could. And the people flourished for a year, 10 years, or the leader got assassinated because he was a good guy, you know, and a good girl, and that period don't last long. In Islam, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought us Islam, and he did a good job. And we had a good caliph, Abu Bakr Siddiq, 2 years, 2.5 years. Then you had the great manager, Umar ibn Khattab. It was either 10 or 12 years. Then you had Uthman. He had a long period, but it was, the first period was, it was fair. Last 6 years was mean. So mean that when Ali took over, it couldn't do much. It was already the years of fitna. The years of fitna. Okay, if that happened in Islam, glorious Islam, good Islam as we got, right? And then in a few years, right, let's say in 20 years, you got these bums, big time bums. I mean murderous bombs that destroyed Islam. Now, what other people call, I don't mean to change the subject, what other people call the golden era of Islam is bums. Baghdad, what do they call that period?
Europeans call it the golden age of Islam.
Yeah, the golden age of Islam, but that's Abbasiyun, the Abbasis. The Abbasis caliphs. You know who Abbas is? Abbas was, well, he was the nephew of the prophet. Okay, but that they were bums too. They were bums too. Look at the transfer of power in Islam around the world after that. Look at it in modern times. We have dictators. We have criminals. We have fat cats that it's unbelievable. They're worse than these guys here. Right? They're worse. So why wouldn't we hear songs that give us hope, use the hope those people had for a little while? Use the people of South Africa had so much hope for them to wind up victims. So much so, by 98, everybody in South Africa, all the Indians was mumbling, we had it better in apartheid. They just mumbled that. They was the greatest liberators. They helped black people get liberated. All the big lawyers you saw in the apartheid era, the Muslims helped. They wasn't, they did a good job. That's why I told them, you could find a lecture right now, that you got to lift the African up. Lift them up. Or history is you're going to look around, they're going to blame it all on you. You ain't did nothing. It don't make no difference. They're going to rob you. And I told them that in South Africa. There's PSA talk, Pan-African Congress. One settler, one bullet. That's the way they thought. They're different than the ANC. Anyway, there are songs, when you travel around the world, all the people have certain songs, and I call them the songs of freedom. I mentioned them in lectures before. They're inspirational. And I want to say this again. How that song happened to come was a fluke. It's a big joke they had about Donald Trump, right? On the balcony. You could ask an American, what does that mean? 98% of them will say nothing. But there's another percentage of white folks. Why do you think they had it on there? Because when they think about it, they think about white folks, but they think about other things too that we and you and I don't think about. And the ones that was linked to Adolf Hitler, El Final Solution, Personalidad. Adolf Hitler, he had the final solution. He didn't get a chance. We got final solution people walking all around here. One of them is right there in the White House. He's doing his, no, but he's doing his job. He's going to carry it to his grave. His job was to destroy America, right? And we said it. He ain't let up yet. To weaken America, he ain't let up yet, right? He haven't let up, and they going to swear the people in next week or sometime soon, right? He haven't gave up. He got the governor of Georgia wanting to quit. All kind of, it's to weaken America. We were right. He was there to do that job. Other people ain't picking up on, they think Donald Trump is just a dictator. He is not. He's a piece of this giant puzzle that leads back to a few big white folks and Zionists. And they want to wipe out the world that exists right now, the ones that we like. You like this world? They don't want to see that no more. They want to see it green and fresh, but no people. 15 people, maybe 100 people. Well, like they said, the world is designed for 2 billion people. That means they got on their thing, what is it, 8 billion, 6 or 8 billion people now? You know how many they want to be missing soon? 6 for it to be 2 billion. They want to miss, yeah. They want most of the people gone. If you got 8 people there, they want 6 of them niggas gone. And if you leave them alone, that's where they're going to be, gone. Yeah. If it's up to them, tell the truth. That's where they got it set now. Now, they might just get unlucky and the machines get rid of their behind, which they would deserve it. But you won't be here to see it. Right? I'm telling you. I called them freedom songs before. I think it's good to Those things inspire. People that don't have them don't have the essence of the people, because that's what comes through. Is it any more there that they had?
No, but I did want to say, one of the things being here for a few years, I'm impressed with, I've just been around a group of people for a while. You listen to a brother for a while, their effect on you to inspire you to keep pushing ahead and not getting tired and stuff.
Right.
It might nullify after a while. But I think with your ability to, inspire me to keep pushing ahead and stuff like that, it's great, man.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
That's all I would say. Because usually, it's your effect. But I'm
Hey.
sitting here, sometimes, you feel a little bit, not burnout, but you start getting a little bit tired.
Yeah.
And you hit the right notes, and I'm like, nah, man, let's go do this.
Well, this is probably traumatic for you. Like you first come in here and sitting around, and you start hearing. I could imagine what going. They said, "Boy, this is a serious environment here," and then it might even be half the time. I don't know if that fits. I don't even know if it makes sense. I don't even know if it's the truth, because it'd be kind of, it's not, it's call it paranormal, not abnormal. It's paranormal. Them paranormal movies, this stuff get this floating around in the house. Okay. So I have to look at also the listener, and I could imagine what the first year or two might have been like. And then after that, the next 2-3 years might be, damn, this is true. Good God Almighty. Man alive. And I can imagine guys going back on, say, man, that's actually the truth. You know what I mean? Because it's been explained, or you didn't listen, and you say, damn. Or you might say anything. Damn. And you might just sit there all day. Damn. It's true. You know what I mean? And then all kind of, so I pay attention to not only, my experience, but what the people might be experienced. That's why you can hit certain notes sometime that make sense. Yeah.
I know that, one of the things I've always appreciated about you, because, my parents are very active. I saw a lot of just, you see fitna in like Muslim community and stuff. And being here, really, it made sense of what I saw as a child.
Right.
It really kind of, it helped me a lot, because it made clear, okay, so that's what I was looking at the whole time, You a kid, you might blame it on, the older, generation.
Yeah.
He was just incompetent, but
No, it wasn't.
No, that ain't
Right.
the case. That is not
That's
the case.
not the case.
They didn't, even to this day, I tell my mother, I don't know if you quite understand what y'all were up against.
What you were up against.
I don't think y'all quite got it.
Yeah, no, they, and then they even, no, that's so true. That's why, hey, no, they wouldn't get it, and they don't, nobody else is hardly, they're not going to allow themselves to get it. Like if they start getting up close, some people, to this making sense, and then a lot of people might blame it on their people. Imam Muhyiddin Muhammad wasn't smart enough. He should have been like Farrakhan, and Farrakhan, da-da-da-da, right? No, that's people. People say those things. He's smarter. He can talk better, but he ain't no better. Can you imagine the chief when the chief looked and said, "Good God Almighty"? So now we love the chief. Sometime I say, if I would have been where I am now, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have left the community. But then I look at it, and then you have to think, well, could I have done any good in that community? You know, the die is already cast, you know, they're headed in that direction. But we live in a world and we say, we're going to get this a shot. And what's our job? As-Sabiqun. All we have to do is go out first, find out what should be done, and we're doing that. And either doing it ourselves or pointing at it, and then we keep moving. As-Sabiqun is not one that's going to lay back and watch. So actually, we've living up to our name over and over again. But I sympathize with, I've always sympathized with your position and your position, technically everybody's position. Now, Brother Ayub been here a long time, and you know, you get the stuff down pat, but still, there's parts with everybody. Supposing, like with Brother Ayub, if I ask 10 questions, who saw this or who saw that? Say, yeah, I did some research, and he'll have that down. Okay. But if you've been here and you look at maybe some of the people that's been around here, and you look at some of the people that was here, and when you ask, wherever you sitting, it looks different. And then the question, it'll keep coming back. What the hell can we do? No, it's a question. If we do this, well, we've already done that. We was at demonstrations of 500,000 people down there, right? And they was listening. And they did what I told them. Say Allahu Akbar, right? They all said it. They said their takbirs and they did better than Muslims. Was you there? They did better. Didn't they do better? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. All of them, right? 500,000 people, right? And you see all of that, and you see there's a few people in here. We're lucky. We're lucky. We're fortunate. Because when you get people listening to you like that, you feel like you got to do more. We can do it. You know what I mean? It's right there, right? Like Malcolm them, they had the microphone. King especially had the microphone. Look what happened to King after a few years. Despondency. They're doing us a favor. Yeah, because when we get the microphone, which we will, or when we get, let's say $100 million, let's say 20 million, it don't make no difference. Now you got to do something with that money. You got to do something with that money. Yeah, with everybody watching, and not only that, with everybody trying to stop you from, like if they surround you with 10 people, suppose you by yourself, you the only one got all that billions, millions of dollars. The same thing, they just stop you on a different level. Or send people in. I want to help. I love people. Sure you do. So does everybody else, right? So you see that no matter how you slice it, you got to have faith in order to even attempt to do that. So that's what we do with people, and we do it with ourselves. You got to keep the faith. You got to keep on trying. And Allah give us what we need to keep it going. It's all kind of stuff. We were just talking about that, the music. Sometimes it's the music of slavery. And you could tell, I like that music. I didn't like slavery. I liked the Jim Crow music. I loved it, you know. And all the other stages of our music. I like Mahalia Jackson. I like all of them. And other people will say they're moaning and groaning, and they're not moaning and groaning. They're not moaning. For a certain time when you listen to that, okay. It's the same thing about the lady in Argentina. That hits now. That's because that's the time it is. In other times, it's not that. There's other times I listen to music, I don't even know what they're saying. Like Haley Africa, I don't know what they're saying. But I know where they played it at all the funerals. If you looked at the funerals of what's the black guy, smart black guy, black consciousness, Steve Biko and all them people, and all the people around. And you look at the movie about Steve Biko's, the hero is the white folks that get away in the damn airplane. You remember that? The white people. They were oppressed because the little girl got itching powder on her. Remember that? Stuff like that. Oh, itching, mommy. Hey, man. Anyway, it's good. Just stick with it. Here's the thing about this period. We're going all the way on this period. Wherever they go, that's fine with them. But we're going all the way, and we want to play a constructive part in it. That's all we want to do. We want to play a constructive part. We want to play a humanistic part. And that's all we want to do. That's why we're still here, because we don't want nothing that everybody else wants. You know, I want to be rich. Well, don't come here. You don't come here because if you got all that money going past you and you start liking it, well, keep a little bit. Well, hell, keep a little bit more. Pretty soon, you're a dictator. And there's no fun anymore because you didn't kill everybody that was your friend. Right? You kill all your friends. And you're scared of the people that's guarding you because you can't sleep. How you going to sleep with them niggas? You could buy them with $10, right? Give them a free hotel or ride around the block, right? And you're the president, they'll kill you, right? It's proven everywhere. So I'm not going to live like that. I'm going to go to sleep when I get ready and wake up, hopefully when Allah wants me, and I'm going to go on about my business. And I'm not going to live like that because it ain't no fun. And one of the things that it says about this movement, have fun. Have fun mean that you can, it's different. Okay, I don't want to take too much time. So thank y'all very much. I'd like to ask, because I'm going to go on to the house right quick. But if y'all have time, if we could